time in the opposition half. There you go. You see the Raiders 65% to 31%, and that's probably why they've come up with 3 tries. 5 more completed sets to Canberra. That's been a bonus. Line breaks 3-2. That's surprising. I thought Canberra might have broken the line a few more times. Kicks in general play. There you go, the penalties. The penalties go the Raiders' way. The scrums to the Magpies. Errors 14 to the Magpies, 11 to Canberra. But been a pretty sloppy game all round. Tackles, a few more to the Magpies. Metres gained, the Raiders ahead in that department. And the score 14-6. The players coming back on the field ready for the second half.
Yep, ready for the kickoff. And it's Laurie Daly, and the ball's rolled off the mound, so he'll have to reset it. The all-important statistic, of course, West with 12 men. Johnny Peart, what's that news from downstairs?
Well, we're on a similar problem in both dressing rooms. A really lack of control's been the most concern of both coaches, but Tim Sheen's looking for a better effort in the second half. Tommy not too happy at all. The go forward wasn't too good. He wants them to get up on Wesley and try to stop the Canberra go forward. Also, he just wants them to have put some more spirit into the second half and try and get up there. You know what Tommy's like? He just wants a big effort in this second half from Western Suburbs.
Yep, I'm sure he does. And the top tacklers, David Wesley leading the way for Canberra, 13, DeVico 13, Clyde 12, and for West, Porro has made 16. I was critical of his attack, but his defence has been fine. There's 16 hard tackles, Langmack and Willis. Darren Willis with 9 tackles from the wing. Pretty good effort from him. Now here's Leeds kicking on the last. And down to Andruku, who was playing on the left wing in the first half, and he's playing on the right wing in the second. Any explanation there, Jacko? Does he just like that side of the field?
Must do.
Here's DeVico, playing just inside Ruben Wiki for that play. Now here goes Wiki, tackled by Horro. Now it's Croker. Just thinking about that first half performance, if there was an area where the game was really starting from that was putting Canberra on top, it was that go forward, as Johnny Peart mentioned. Luke DeVico and David Wesley had a lot more thrust in their hit-ups than Brent Stewart or Mark Affleck did, and of course then Affleck was sent off. They are missing Glenn Grief out there, the Magpies. Ken McGuinness. Out to Dooley. And it looks as if Cherry Mesher has slotted into hooker. There he is, going to dummy half with Jim Sedaris off the field. Now Damien Driscoll. Langmack has lost it. Paul Langmack will hang his head. Away goes Steve Stone. McGuinness is chasing. The pass comes out, and the try is scored by David Boyle. How to pay for a mistake. A lost ball by Paul Langmack, and Steve Stone is showing what a capable footballer he is. Well backed up by David Boyle, who didn't leave Stone posted, and away they went. Suddenly they're on the attack and quickly turning it into 4 points. Langmack lost it. Steve Stone gets away from Dooley here. Dooley too slow to go with Steve Stone. Ken McGuinness took a long time to haul in Steve Stone, and there was David Boyle, unmarked. And that's a perfect way to start the second half for the Raiders.
Oh, well, it has been a great afternoon for Paul Langmack. In fact, there you go, knocking it on. Steve Stone picks it straight up, throws a good little dummy there, and shows a good clean pair of heels. Ken McGuinness finally picks him up, but Boyle backing up is all good centres to do. And that could be the nail in the coffin for the Maggies this afternoon. Langmack, he's made about 3 or 4 errors today. Unlike Paul Langmack, he's been in great form this season for the Maggies, but on that occasion, he handed him a gift.
Jason Croker gets a lot of raps for his ability to fill positions in the Canberra side, but David Boyle has been so useful for Tim Sheens over the last few years as well. 1 from 3 for David Furner. It's a difficult one. Might get there though. Hanging up in the breeze and just short. He was on target. Couldn't quite get the length that time, so his runabout continues, but Canberra leading 18-6.
This is a real giveaway, I mean, a real coach killer. Look, Langmack had plenty of room. Look where the defensive line is, well off him. Second marker had a bit of a charge at him. He spilled it in. This fella's had an extraordinary good game. Steve Stone knows when to pass a ball too. Nice timing there, and David Boyle won't get an easier one than that.
Well, that's Steve Stone. He scored 1 try himself with a great bomb. He set one up. Can't do much more than that, Pearty. Pretty happy with that performance.
He's had a ripper of a game. He's a very confident player, isn't he, without being brilliant.
Yeah, I think you're. I
think Tim Sheens uses him simply because I think he understands the system that they play, and he can slot in so easy because he's intelligent.
Yeah, I was actually at a function at Braidwood. G'day to everybody at the Braidwood Bears on Tuesday night with Steve Stone, and he's looking to leave the Raiders and go and try and cement a first-grade spot somewhere else, and I think that's a wise decision because he is a first-grader playing reserve grade.
Now Justin Dooley's been caught offside, and away goes Steve Walters, straight up the middle. Look at him go. He's still going. Pops a pass, but it's still on for Croker. 2 against 1. Croker slips. Up he gets, goes ahead. Has Nandruku outside. Willis breaks the tackle. No, he can't. Oh, what a drive from Nandruku. Just the strength. The referee Manson checks, but it's a try. What an effort from Steve Walters in his 201st first-grade game. And then it went out to Croker, to Nandruku, who still had a ton of work to do. But Nandruku's strength and thrust has got him to the line. Walters, away he goes, straight up the middle. Reminiscent of that magnificent try he scored here last year, a 60-metre try. Pops it out a little loose, but it was 2 against 1. Croker gets back to his feet. McGuinness slipped over. That was bad luck. He's just swatting him off. Nandruku with Darren Willis. Willis fighting and wrestling like 2 bulls. It was always going to be tough, and that's a try.
Yeah, what about, there he is, the quick tap from Steve Walters. Spots a hole down the middle. Away he goes, box head. 201 first-grade games and going strong. What about this bloke, Jason Croker? What a fantastic footballer. Slips, gets up, fends off Langmack too easy. Gets a great ball around the corner. And look at Nandruku and Willis doing the pride of Erin together in the corner of the field. Swing your partner round and round. He puts it down the big Fijian. How strong is he, Bolo?
Well, he can dance, and Furness missed the goal. That's a great try. What a try that was. That's just Canberra, impromptu, innovative at their best. 22-6 to the Raiders.
And on top of that, Warren, they're all good athletes. I mean, just look at the number 9 straight down the centre, but he had the awareness there to pick that up. Pops the ball, probably a bad one in the end, but scooped up by Croker. He's another athlete from Crookwell, which is not far from Goulburn.
Yeah, near the coast.
He did it extremely well, didn't he, Nandruku? Like Willis thought he had him. He thought he was just going to railroad him straight over the sideline, but too strong. He got a shock, Willis.
West had plenty of defence there. As they went to a Croker, they had 3 defenders against 2, but they've all converged on Croker, and a little bit of start, Nandruku. Just too hot to handle.
They got to be careful here, West, otherwise they're going to get a real belting. And that'll do their confidence no good when they look at the teams they've got coming up in the weeks to come. Manly, Brisbane, Norse, Illawarra. You don't need to go into those games after a 40-0 flogging.
We just saw Jason D not just warming up, but practicing his skills, getting a few passes from the trainer, make sure his reflexes are sharp as he goes on. Now Walters is kicking out of dummy half as well. He can do everything. And Daly's there to chase. Leeds got away from Laurie Daly. The Magpies' defence has opened up too often today. They just haven't come out with the intensity they showed against the Bulldogs last week in front of their home crowd. Now Dooley. This year Wests have won 4 out of 8 away from home. Mesha goes himself, puts his head down now as he comes to Croker. Last tackle coming up. Langmack to Leeds. Kicks high, Georgialis giving chase, but the kick's gone straight down the centre. And the tackle made on Mullins coming through was Bell. Now Fulavai tries to get away from Georgialis. Tommy Radonica's digging deep into his bag of tricks to get them out of this one.
He probably realises the game's gone now, Tommy. 22 points to 4. He'll just want him to come up with a creditable performance. Don't throw the towel in. Don't start letting in soft tries. And if they can do that, he'll be happy, Tommy. He realises that with 12 men there, 1,000,000 to 1 to win this one, but he'll just want a nice performance.
Magnificent pass from Clyde. Wiki to Mullins. He's got support either side, and it's knocked down by Ken McGuinness. Intercepts, but it went forward, so it'll be a Canberra feed. I think Mullins should have passed left.
Yeah, you're right. There he is. Fulavai, unmarked on the left. No doubt about it, Warren. Fulavai under the post. Had Brett Mullins look left. He decided to go inside. They'll get the ball back.
Tim Sheens won't be satisfied with this performance. They might be in front, but it has been scrappy from the Raiders. Nevertheless, when you look at the injury list, Ricky Stewart, Ken Nagus, Lomax, Brett Hetherington, Quentin Pongia, they're big names to have out of your side.
Yeah, and you throw in, of course, Paul Osborne and Mal Meninga, who both retired at the end of the year. Warren, I mean, incredible depth at Canberra. Incredible depth. I mean, congratulations to Tim Sheens for his scouting. He's done a great job. They'll miss him.
The Raiders are only 5 metres out here. Steve Walters goes back to Stone. Deep, plenty of depth. Daly, Furner, Mullins on the fingertips. Magnificent from Mullins, but superb handling from Brett Mullins. What a complete player he is. Devastating in attack. He's not just fast. He might have, well, if not bombed the try a moment ago, probably took a bad option, but look at the skills of the man here to pull in that pass. 99% of players would have left that dangling behind them. Instead, they went deep to give themselves some room. Furner switches the direction inside to Mullins, and he pulls it in and dives over.
Yeah, this is a planned move, Warren, that went a little bit wrong. The timing wasn't there. David Furner was probably meant to give that to Brett Mullins on the inside. Brett Mullins changed direction. What an athlete this bloke is. Along with Steve Manu, the two best players to watch in rugby league. No doubt about that. Just fantastic.
3 tries in 10 minutes of play for the Raiders, and David Furner, he's dug that one out and put it through. He's still not hitting them very sweetly, but the Raiders in command now, 28 points to 6.
Oh, they really gave themselves some room to put this little manoeuvre on. A little bit crowded for space just then. It changed the angle twice, and Mullins' beautiful handling did the rest, but they really gave themselves some depth.
You wonder whether Brett Mullins actually changed the alleyway there. Maybe he was supposed to stay on the right of Furner, but he just seemed to try and come back in. Maybe he saw that was where the hole was, and that caused the ball to be almost dropped.
Oh, well.
Came up with it.
Can't complain.
No, not at all. No, I'm just saying he's just adjusted to a set play to go through the hole. Andrew Leeds has left the field. That's another blow to West. He doesn't look to be injured. Could be interesting to find out about a little bit later if we can. Wesley plays it back on the Canberra 30. The floodgates threatening to open here. West with 12 men hanging on. 22 errors now by the Magpies, only 11 by Canberra. Boyle, lovely hands to Nandruku. Look at him go. Inside is Boyle, no intercepted. Knocked down by West, and they've got it. And very nearly another try, because inside Boyle was Mullins.
Gee, they've been working the sides of the field well, Canberra. Just nice, quick hands, searching to put someone in daylight. It was lovely to watch, and gee, with an ounce of luck, could have seen Boyle over for another try.
Darren Willis just looked like he left Nandruku open then.
Yeah, well, Darren Willis is getting a lesson in wing play today from the big Fijian. Roger Kenworthy warming up on the sideline. He'll no doubt give Brett Mullins a rest.
Dooley's tackle 5 metres short of halfway for West. Last tackle. Georgalis puts the kick through. Mullins goes back, but it's into touch, and it's probably the way to play for West. Just slow Canberra down, have a few scrums, walk to the scrum.
Yeah, Steve Georgalis scrubbering, looking for a little bit of respite from this green machine attack.
I think that's what was Tommy Radonicus's intentions in the first half, and they couldn't get to their completion rate to have a kick, really. Keep it away from Mullins and perhaps hit the line a few times and just get themselves set for a defensive effort, but it's all beyond them now, of course.
The report is that Andrew Leeds has gone to the dressing room for some stitches. Nandruku tackled on his own 20. Stone dummy half. Furner, Daly, Boyle. Quick moving defence, so it looked as if that tackle was completed. No, play on with Furner. Furner still going, slips it away to deep. On the ground now, dived on by Wiki.
Oh, they're short on the right.
Brandon Pearson's on for West in 16. Daly to Clyde. Clyde, oh, looking for Mullins, but he's lost it, and the referee penalises West. Playing the advantage against Langmack for being inside the 10. Daly takes the tap, and really, referee Manson should let it go on and give the caution to Langmack later. Langmack may have even said something too, because It looked as if the ball could have been knocked forward as Clyde was trying to get it to Mullins.
Yeah, one of those frustrating afternoons for Paul Langmack. Nothing goes right for you. Gear yourself for a big performance, looking at the top 8 and come down here, get a player sent off, make a few mistakes and just get blitzed by this Canberra machine.
Here's Jason Deeth. He may have moved up into a hooking role, and Steve Walters seems to be playing a little wider, though Walters gets into dummy half this time as Deeth plays it. Furner up the centre, flicks a lovely pass and it's Mullins again. It's sensational football when the Raiders are hot. It's just beautiful to watch it. Rugby league magic. And look at the pass. And Brett Mullins' smile says it all as he acknowledges the work done inside for him. 32-6, and there's still 26 minutes to go in the match. They've set up the play. Daly to Furner, and Furner flicks it up. And again, the hands superb on the burst. That's a great catch as well as the speed from Mullins.
Yeah, great courage too, Warren, because he was about to get closed in on by 2 West players. He throws his arms up. There's David Furner, a little bit of a speculator. McGuinness is there. He can't do anything about this flying machine they call Brett Mullins, and a great try to the Raiders. Just another set play. They do that well. They watch David Furner should be able to put this one between the pros pretty easily, Warren, but they do that inside play. They do it with Stewart and Mullins, an inside second man or an inside face ball, and gee, it works a treat, Petey.
Yep, it's a rehearsed play.
2 tries in 5 minutes to Brett Mullins, 34-6.
Yeah, let's just have a look at it here. Laurie Daly takes it to the left. Now there's Bradley Clyde just on his inside, but what he does is drops the ball back in behind him. Furner's the receiver, and then a nice little flick ball to Mullins. A rehearsed play, and Mullins puts himself on the end. He can be short of a try most times.
Working a play like that when you've got Clyde and Furner and Mullins coming at you, you just wouldn't know who to tackle, would you?
Oh, I know, I'd be after.
Who?
Mullins.
Well, you bet the time you tackle Mullins, it'll be Clyde's ball. The metres in time all favouring Canberra now. Look at the metres going. They've got 50% more than West. Well, you have to remember, only have 12 men out there, so there has to be holes.
The early damages that go forward, Warren. Wesley's punch.
This is an intercept. McGuinness has caught it. Here's a chase for Mullins. McGuinness comes back in, and it would have been more thrilling if he continued to go down the line.
What about the chase? Mullins picked him up in 3.
Langmack gets it out to Pearson. Pearson's some room to move. It's a bad pass and dived on by Tony Wall, who came across to cover it well. 20 metres out. It's Mesher. Flicks it to Dooley. Dooley's still trying to batter his way through. Langmack comes to the open side. On it goes Bell to Wall. Inside to Pearson. He's lost it. He took his eye off it. He felt the ball touch his hands and then had a look to see where he was going.
Yeah, there he is, Tony Wall. Just Brandon Pearson can't come up. I thought still that was probably a knockback, but
wasn't bad play either, working in fairly narrow spaces. They'd almost opened something up. Justin Dooley's off the field, so is Albert Fulevi. Seems to have been plenty of changes, so they must be getting up towards their 6. Is Stone.
yeah, Noah, hang on. Now Albert Fulevi's come off on the left wing, so Noah's moved over to the left wing now. He's the king of the wings now. He can play wherever he likes.
Playing left and right.
Now he's playing left. He's sent Roger over to the right.
Is Kenworthy. Deeth dummy half. Daly. Crocus. He rips into them and almost goes right through. Desperate tackle by Horrow.
Well, every time Canberra win a football game, you could almost give Croker the man of the match every week, couldn't you? He's a good player.
So too Steve Walters, the same could be said. Daly, the little kick through, and Wall, it looks as if he's covering Andrew Leeds' position at fullback. Leeds just coming back out now. Wiki, tough opponent there, making the tackle on Bell. Oh, Brent Stewart's put it down. It's just ridiculously unforced errors. Here they go, Daly, out to Boyle. On his right is Kenworthy. A little shuffle from him, but Willis takes him to ground. Only 10 out. Might have been interesting if that was Nandruku on that wing that time. Daly, quick pass to Furner. It's an exhibition of skills here from the Raiders. Knocked down by West. It should be 6 more. It is. There's 6 tackles now for the Raiders, with Stone playing at 20 metres out. Clyde has a go himself, pops it back to Wiki. West just unable to finish off the tackles. They can't put Canberra down. The unloads just repeating themselves over and over. Daly inside to Furner, lovely pass. And David Furner sprints away. He gave the last pass to Brett Mullins. This time working off Daly, the inside pass. A little bit of variation. For the most part, the Raiders have been flicking it across the backs, going wider. This time, Laurie Daly just calls his big, fast second rower up on the inside. 38-6, an embarrassment.
Oh, there you go. Laurie Daly spots it on the inside. A great call from David Furner. And there he goes, the big second rower, son of Don Furner, Kangaroo Tourist. There we see, goes through Steve Stone. He's had a good game. Daly spots the inside opening. Langmack not coming across in cover once again. And this will be disappointing. A little bit of a taste of reality for the Magpies, I think. Warren, have a look at it from this angle. And there's a great ball from Laurie Daly, and Furner calling it.
Yeah, you can see Brent Stewart went up trying to knock Daly over, but he opened up the gap on the inside, and there were no more coming across. David Furner.
I think it's a matter of reality bites today for the Maggies. They're up against the Stars now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Furner, he's missed. He has missed from right in front, off the upright. Well, it gets serious, doesn't it, for Tim Sheens? He's got to look at another kicker. 38-6 in favour of the Raiders.
Actually, West's been coming up out of the line most of this afternoon to try and cut things off. They do it here too, as well. This is the ruck in before that, but this unsettled them a little bit. Here's the play the ball here with the long balls, but just watch the West defensive line. I think it's a 13 runs up quickly. There's a 13. Langmack was drawn in. 25 was a little bit slow. That just opened up the saloon passage for Furner, and through he went. Good pass by Daly.
So Andrew leads with the restart, coming back from having been stitched up. And David Furner has kicked 3 from 8 today as David Wesley goes straight through them, and once again the Magpies on the back foot instantly. Stewart kicks through and he's penalised. David Manson allows him to stay on the field. Might have momentarily thought, should it be a bin? And the kick, let's have a look at it. Well, I suppose they're really the penalties against Stewart for being all over the man trying to play it, not for unfairly kicking because the ball was on the ground. But, Wesley and Stewart in a bit of a wrestle as the ball was played. Penalties 12 to Canberra to 5 by Wests. 5-4 Wests. Brad Clyde icing up the knee. He too has had a pretty good injury-wise season for him. Missed a few games. Stone, little dummy. And the Raiders, 20 metres out. And they're hungry. They're deep. They're all calling for the ball. Daly, early pick this time. He gives Wiki a chance. Georgialis knocked Daly over. Back where they started on the 20. That pass just a touch forward. Short, sharp pass from Steve Walters to David Furner. Well, at least the mascot getting friendly with the Raiders cheer girls, but I don't think he's got too much to cheer about.
What do you mean?
Mascot.
What do you mean? He's sitting on the lap of 5 beautiful girls. He's got nothing to cheer about.
38-6. I suppose he's looking for the consolation prize. Ken McGuinness puts it in. Sorry, John.
Warren, there's some mobility in that. Oh, here's McGuinness. He's got a bit of talent, this young lad. He could be the answer to West's problems. They've had a halfback problem all season. We're just saying the mobility of the Canberra forwards. Like Bradley Clyde, Furner, Croker, they could all play in the centre. DeVico's a good lad. Wesley's having a sensational game, and Steve Walters. How do you combat that? I mean, they just got skill and pace on the opposition.
There's no weakness, is there?
Nope. And you've got Pongia and Lomax, if they can get a game.
Hetherington.
And Hetherington.
You would wonder how Cronulla managed to beat the Raiders 3 weeks ago, 38-12. Might have had a couple of players out, but nevertheless,
it's a
strong
funny
side anytime.
Funny game, Warren. I mean, West came down here expecting themselves, each individual, to...
They've let this bounce.
That is a problem.
Mullins just manages to cover it. Both Kenworthy and Mullins were looking at each other, expecting the other to take it, and a mix-up forces a dropout. A little bit of relief for West.
Yeah, there's the kick. from Andrew Leeds, back on after getting stitched up. Roger Kenworthy, as you said, was a mix-up there, and Brett Mullins finally cleans up. Well, Roger Kenworthy, he almost gets out as well, Warren. He does his best. I thought Brett Mullins might have had a dig then.
So Daly to drop out.
Saying, Warren, you know, their preparation was probably spot on before they got down here, Western Suburbs, but yeah, they just haven't been on their game all afternoon, have they?
No, they never looked like being at their best from the outset today. And once Mark Affleck was sent off in the 22nd minute, well, the game was won and lost. Cherry Mesher, more involved in the second half. Now he's playing at hooker. He didn't seem to be getting much of the ball in the first half as a halfback. Jim Sedaris also off the field for West, so some of their key players out of action, Glenn Grief and Sedaris. Here's Stewart, pops it up nicely for Mesher following. Now Kevin McGuinness, battling his way ahead is Pearson, who's tried hard since coming onto the field. Langmack inside for Horro, taken by Wiki, slips it nicely to Langmack. Other West players didn't realise that it had come back. Last tackle coming up now, 3 metres out. Langmack, plenty to choose from. The pass was slow. Chance though for McGuinness, and he is over. The other Canberra players might have thought there was a forward pass, but Ken McGuinness has scored the try. Langmack swooping the pass out, really in the direction of 2 or 3 players rather than picking anyone out. He knew he had a chance out there somewhere. Picked up by Willis nicely. An inside pass to Ken McGuinness for the try.
Yeah, just a consolation job for West, wasn't it? Paul Langmuck realised they had 1, 2, 3 numbers there, and Willis keeps his head. Nice little inside ball to McGuinness, who goes over, tries to improve his position, but had already placed the ball. And there it is there. And
one of the few times that West have had a set of 6 inside Canberra's 20 all day long after the dropout. 48 minutes between the Magpies' tries, only 2 of them all day long. So for a rare moment, the Raiders are behind the line. Makes you reflect on 1993 when the Raiders looked set to play in and maybe win a grand final. Ricky Stewart was out injured, and suddenly they just fell apart. And Steve Stone was one of the halfbacks they used during that period, but Tim Sheens then decided to try other options. Here's Andrew Leeds from out wide. It's a superb kick. One of the few highlights for West today. That kick narrows the scores to a little more respectability, 38-12 to Canberra.
Yeah, they've just put no pressure on Canberra most of the day. It's one of the few times they've actually had good field position. There's the long ball, did it. Croker came up out of the line, rightly so. Overlap there, and McGuinness was good enough to get over for the try.
And down on the sideline, the man we were just talking about, Canberra half Ricky Stewart, has joined Johnny Peard.
Yes, I've got Ricky with me here. Ricky, they were early in the game, a bit scratchy, but they're certainly putting together now.
Yeah, we were very scratchy in the first half, and it probably goes back to there's a lot of overcalling, and Tim said to Laurie in the sheds at half-time that he has to dominate and make sure that he overcalls, and everyone else just has to sort of listen.
Your replacement is doing the job also.
Yeah, Steve's a good player. He does very well. Filling in halfback, and he's a good player. He talks very well.
Rick.
Here's Ken McGuinness down to Mullins. He looks inside trying to find Leeds. He's turned Mullins around. He goes again. Mullins finishes him off though over the touchline. Great work in the end by Mullins. They've had a good duel a couple of times.
Yeah, Warren, Mullins, Ricky could probably comment on this, that Mullins got the ability to turn inside out and still cover players. He gets some pace, doesn't he?
He can afford to let a player go and wait and see what his support player is going to do, because he's got the pace to pick him up.
yeah, a bit like myself, Rick, at my best, I suppose, you'd have to say.
Especially now, Jacko, we're weighing at 118 kilos.
Turn it up, I'm lost the weight. Listen, talking about the Raiders, you know, you've had a knack in previous years when you won the final to really start to hit your momentum come semi-final times. I suppose Tim's starting to look for that lift in intensity now.
Well, this is the, as they call it, the business end of the season, and the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to be very important, Jacko, because you want to go into the semi-finals in good form. You don't want to go in, dropping a few games, and we're a little bit unfortunate. We no disrespect to the teams we're playing in the next 3 or 4 weeks, but we're playing only one team that's really in the top 8.
Oh, look at Mullins step and look at Croker run. Croker's going to outspeed sprint, a lot of them just flying away for the try. This was Brett Mullins. He's just an exhibition today, isn't he? Sidestepping down the middle. It looked like an NFL linebacker, wasn't it? Just lining him up and stepping left, stepping right, and just turning him inside out.
Yeah, it looked absolutely sensational. Rick, here's your chance. Here's your chance, mate. Take us through this one. Ricky?
Might go for a call.
Yeah.
Great ball, great inside ball off Steve Stone to Mullo. Shows his ability here on his feet. A great athlete, Brett Mullins, and Toots, the versatile Jason Croker. He's a great player, and he's certainly he's done a great job for the Canberra Raiders this season, Jason Croker.
Yeah, he certainly has, and Steve Stone, there he is. That's a great ball. Don't know if Stuart could have got a ball like that away.
Probably not, no.
But Jason Croker, there he is scoring this try. Rick, has he got a favourite position?
I think he prefers either 5'8" or lock, Jacko. I think he's a great lock. He's got the build, the speed, the momentum for a lock, and I think playing 5'8" has really helped his game because it's helped his the ability to pass the ball, and his skills playing at 5'8", filling in for Laurie when he's injured.
Here's David Furner, 3 from 8 so far. And this not too far from the post. That's a better looking kick. It's a very good kick. And Ricky, as we look at the next try, Luke DeVico and David Wesley have done a great job for you today, getting that go forward happening in the absence of Lomax and Hetherington and Ponga.
Yeah, mainly Luke DeVico, mate, in the first half. He'd done a lot of dirty runs and first hit-ups, and it paves the way. If you can get a quick play of the ball off those first hit-ups, it paves the way for the next 2 or 3 tackles. If you can get your first 2 tackles with a quick play of the ball, it helps you set a 6.
And we just watch Jason Croker score that try again. All right, Rick, looking at the semi-finals, obviously Manly, Newcastle, yourself, and Brisbane or Cronulla look like finishing in the top 4. Out of those 4 sides I just mentioned, who's the team that worries you most?
Well, I think Manly are obviously got to be the favourites. They're playing very good football at the moment. A little bit of a downfall on Friday night, but that won't affect them. And I think the sleeping giants of Brisbane, mate, I'm always worried about Brisbane. I think they're a great side, and they got too many good players to disregard Brisbane. They're a great team, and come semi-final time, that's the sort of football that they enjoy playing, that high-intensity type of football, and they'll be a team to beat.
And just on the goal kicking, David Furner, although he's kicked a few today, he's been a little bit down on his form this year. I read where Laurie's keen to give him a challenge. Is that fair dinkum? Does Laurie want to do the kicking? If so, is he close to getting the job, or...?
Mate, there's been some money won and lost at training here with the goal kicking duties. I know Loz is very keen to be a backup kicker, but Dave Furner hasn't been on his game the last couple of weeks, but with his goal kicking. But he does put a lot of practice in, Jacko. Probably just not hitting the ball sweet enough at the moment.
And one just before you go, Rick, Stevie Wilder's 201 first-grade games. Just tell everybody, you know, the opinion that people have of him down here in Canberra and what a great player he's been for the club. Well,
mate, I think he's the best hooker in the world. I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. Steve is and a very experienced player, very important cog to our forward pack. He's the sort of player that gets you on that forward momentum from his runs from dummy half. A very strong player. He's like another front rower, and that's the sort of I suppose that's the sort of hooker you need nowadays, a player that can make yards and make that those yards out of dummy half, because he's so strong and effective for us.
All right, Ricky, thanks for joining us this afternoon. And look, you can give the head. Tell Johnny Pearce to go home. You've passed the audition. You can take the headphones. And here's the Magpies coming around for a try. Thanks to Ricky Stewart. But the West boys have managed to score another try through McGuinness, wrapping around, but it's really all far too late with such a huge score already on the board. But West just hitting that left-hand side, managing to find a little chink in the defence as Langmack goes to the line, opens it up for Leeds. We've seen a couple of nice plays between those two in the first half. Over the top to Ken McGuinness. He steps and leaves 2 of them going the wrong way. Good work by Ken McGuinness, who's had a good second half, but too late for the Magpies.
Yeah, often in games like this, you do see young players like Ken McGuinness really start and show what they've got to offer. Usually it gets lost in the fact that they do get a flogging or they get a bloke sent off, but Ken McGuinness, he's a fine player, a fine prospect, and the Maggers will be keen to hang on to him for as long as they can.
12th try of the season for Ken McGuinness, their leading try scorer. Only 19 years old. His younger brother also on the field, even, well, he must be only around 17 or so. As Brad Clyde goes to the dressing room. High-scoring match, 12 tries all up. And still 7 minutes to go. Leeds with a good kick once more. His goal kicking ability continuing to make West respectable, but it's 44 points to 18.
Well, on this little player, Langmack, it's very hard to defend against. Look at the line of the Canberra side. Now, you see that little hole he opens up there? Now, all the defence then had to adjust in and just open a little bit of daylight out the back, and McGuinness had the pace to go on with it. He's a bit of a prospect, McGuinness.
Yeah, definitely. And pretty sure they have got him signed up for a couple of years. Ball falling off the mound again for Laurie Daly. That breeze still fairly strong behind the Raiders in the second half, or is it? Might have swung around looking at one of the flags on the far side. Which way is it blowing, John? Is it behind West in this second half?
Yeah, it's swung around, Warren. Very strange down there, but it's not going to worry the Raiders.
Well, they don't seem to be having any trouble running into the wind, do they? They found touch with a kick into the wind, just inside the corner post. Not that it really hurts West, but it's a little embarrassing when you allow the opposition to do that. It allows them to set their defence against you, only 10 metres out from your line. And it goes from Kevin McGuinness. And Mark Horrow standing out of the scrum. Now Tony Wall. So West look at Brisbane next week at Campbelltown. Norths away the following week. Then Manly at Campbelltown. And Illawarra away. Very tough games for West. They'll have to put this one right out of their minds and just think back to some of their better performances. Langmack to Leeds. Through Driscoll's hands to Dunn.
Well, it's still coming, Warren. That's the encouraging thing as far as West supporters go. They've scored a couple of tries, although the game's well and truly over. They're still trying to put some tries on the board, and considering the situation, you're up against the Premiers with 12 men in your side. You've got to say that it's been a creditable performance. Not a great performance technically, but certainly as far as ticker goes, and that's what it's all about. You can't really fault West in that department.
Ball lost by Jason Death. I think the main problem for Tom Raudonikis is the way they started this game. Didn't really look ready to fire in the first 20 minutes while they did have 13 men. Handling was really letting them down, as it was Canberra at that stage of the game, it had to be said. Stewart is tackled 30 metres out. 44 to 18. 4 minutes to go. Mark Horrow is knocked over. We're in a position to get one more try. McGuinness. To Langmack, quickly on to Ken McGuinness. Almost lost it, he did lose it. And Andrew Leeds, who was standing right alongside him, doesn't seem to think that was the case.
Well, there he is, McGuinness. No, he didn't drop it. No. Hard to pick up from the referee's point of view, but he certainly didn't drop it.
Completed sets in the match, 26 by Canberra and only 12 by West. Daly out to Nandruku, standing in the centres, but West were up early from the scrum offside.
Well, there's any wonder you want to get up there, wouldn't you, on Brett Mullins and Nandruku and Daly. Don't want to give them any extra yards.
Just looking at Nandruku is in the centres and Graham Appo is on the field, number 16. They've all been given a run today by Tim Sheens. Luke DeVico makes a few more metres.
He reminds me of a young Glenn Lazarus, Luke DeVico. The way he plays the game, the way he takes the ball up.
Jason Death wants a quick play the ball. It was one of the slowest play the balls all day. Now Steve Walders is off and running, knocks McGuinness away, gets it out to Croker, and Croker's going to score again. He's too fast for Ken McGuinness, and Croker comes around behind the post. With a kick to come, this will bring up 50. 48 points on the board already, kick to come. And Jason Croker, who is a try-scoring machine, 48 points to 18. Croker very unlucky not to go on the last Kangaroo tour. Probably David Furner got his spot. Now here's Steve Walters, who's had a masterful game. Out he fires the pass, and he's just too fast for them. Croker playing in the second row, sprinting like the centre that he often is. just too good.
Oh, he's a good footballer, and Stevie Wallace spots a little happening here. He wants the big fend on McGuinness. See you later, mate. Gets the good ball away to Jason. I thought they might have picked him up, these guys, but he has got plenty of toe. There's the kick straight over the post, so we're up to 50 points to 18. And Jason Croker just underneath the post for another try to him.
Yeah, he's played well, hasn't he, Croker? In fact, well, you were saying before, every one of the Canberra players has played very well today. 50 points to 18. The ground announcer is just about going through the Canberra side, I think, congratulating them, naming men of the match. Might be a pretty tough choice for you too, Jacko, when you come to Jacko's judgment.
Could be a sentimental choice today, Warren, although he's had a great game.
Sentimental? I mean, you're giving it to one of your mates again.
I never give it to my mates. If it was something substantial, I might. But of course it is. It's a great football to a junior club.
It's Wiki bringing it back, and there's not much time left on the clock at all. Just a few seconds. Deeth to Vico. And Luke De Vico takes the last tackle of the game. After quite a spiteful first half, settled down into an attacking exhibition by the Raiders in the second half. They scored 10 tries to West 3, 50 points to 18 to the Raiders. Commanding victory. So the players shake hands, and West, well, I don't know, Jacko, I don't think the Tom Rd18 will be too happy with 50 points against them today. I mean, you're saying there was a bit of pride, a bit of respectability achieved, but they kept coming, and they did keep coming, but 50 points is a lot of points. Yeah, it is a lot of points, Ryan, but you've got to remember they did have 12 men up against a pretty classy outfit who just had a sensational second half, Canberra. I mean, what did they score? 14 points at half-time. They scored 36 points in the second half. A lot of those tries, not a lot of goals kicked, so sensational performance by them. That's what they were after, that sort of a performance coming in for the last 4 weeks of their premiership. And, you know, there's the Canberra Raider fans. They'll be happy with that. Plenty here today, Warren. Did we get a crowd? 12,000.
Yeah, a good crowd of 12,000 on a Saturday afternoon. And they're coming off the field now.
Johnny Peard has got Mark Horrow with him.
Yeah, I've got Mark Horrow. He had a pretty fair game, particularly in defence, but they were pretty hot in the second half, but you just weren't on your game today.
Yeah, John, it's pretty difficult playing Canberra with 12 men down here, especially in the second half. We still thought, you know, with some good defence, you know, we could probably make a game of it, but they're just too good out wide.
Yeah. Well, you got a hard road home. I mean, it's probably not doing your confidence much good.
Yeah, that's right, John. We obviously came down here, and if you can't beat the good sides in the last 4 or 5 games, you know, it's probably not worth being in the semi-finals, but...
David Furner ended up with 5 from 10 for West, 2 to Ken McGuinness, and a try to Paul Bell. And Andrew Leeds kicked 3 from 4. It was 14 points to 6 at half-time in favour of the Raiders. But the second half, well, it was really they just demolished the Magpies. 50 points to 18. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Warren. Let's update the AFL and edging towards three-quarter time at Cardinia Park. This was the situation. Geelong 14-9-93. The Sydney Swans 8-7-55. All the rest of the scores are at three-quarter time. Essendon leading Fremantle 16 goals 3 to 9 goals 8. Over at Optus Oval, Richmond still trailing St Kilda. The Saints 13-12-90. The Tigers 5-6-36. And Footscray 8 goals 8-56, leading the Hawks 5-8-38. And the All Blacks have done it again for the second week in a row. Last weekend it was at Eden Park at the Sydney Football Stadium this afternoon. New Zealand 34, Australia 23. The Wallabies led 13-12 at half-time, but the All Blacks Bledisloe Cup champions, reinforcing last weekend's result. Let's go racing now. Rosehill Race 6 was the Group 3 missile stakes over 1,100 metres. Let's pick up the closing stages.
Clearly chosen, Renoki Boy and Light Up the World is last as they turn for home. Brawny Spirit, a narrow leader over Miss Kariba as they straighten up. In third place, Guam Holiday, and then Masked Party. Silence prevails after being held up as into the clear now. Further out, Great Condor. Brawny Spirit kicked at the 200. He put more than 2 lengths on Masked Party, followed by Guam Holiday, and Little Light Up the World is sizzling down the outside from Stone last on the turn. Brawny Spirit in front. Light Up the World has run an incredible race to get second, but Brawny Spirit...
The placings 1, 10 and 12. Brawny Spirit and Light Up the World both starting 4-1 equal favourites. Masked Party starting at 15s. Well, a final chance now for you to enter our Rugby League competition, and this again is the question you'll need to answer. What was the scoreline of last week's win by Western Suburbs over the Bulldogs? Was it 20-16, 14-12 or 18-14? If you think it was 20-16, phone 0055 60524, leaving your name and number. Was it 14-12? 60525 is that number, or was it 18 points to 14? 0055 60525 is that option. Lines are open as usual up till midnight on Thursday, and we'll announce the winner in our league preview next week. Well, a win to Western Suburbs last weekend against the Bulldogs. Unfortunately, not the same scenario this afternoon. Let's go back to Warren Boland now at Bruce Stadium for a wrap-up of today's match.
No, Karen, you're right. The Magpies were a better side last week, and with a man sent off this week, they just weren't able to match the power and pace of the Raiders. Jacko, man of the match, you've got 13 choices, all wearing green jerseys.
Yeah, special mention to Jason Croker, David Fernell, Laurie Daly and Steve Stone. But how can you go past the number 9, Steve Wilders, playing in his 201st first-grade game? I thought he was sensational today. Set up a couple of tries, was in everything, tackled well, and he's downstairs with Johnny Peard.
Yeah, Steve, 201 and still going strong. I heard there was talk earlier in the week you might have one more season, but the way you're playing, surely you couldn't consider it.
No, I've got a deal to play for another 2 years, mate, so I'll definitely play next year and see how I'm travelling then. And if I think I'll struggle next year, I'll give it a miss, but if I'm going okay, well, I'll play again.
I think you'll be going okay now. How'd you sum up today's effort?
You know, I thought we went okay. Obviously, the couple of tries at the end sort of disappointed us a little bit, but a lot of good players are there. I think Jacko's just looking up a bit of a sympathy vote for the man of the match. He's obviously forgiven me for murdering his dog a couple of years ago. But, no, I thought we went pretty good under the circumstances.
Yeah, well, the finals are just around the corner. I guess everyone will be just saying that you're priming yourself for those big games.
Yeah, mate, we're going to be at our best to try and beat the Sharkies. From what I've seen the last month, you know, they've, watched the game last night, and I thought they were just really impressive, you know, and I think it's going to be good because there's probably 4 or 5 teams who are genuine chances for the finals, and it should keep everyone really, you know, it should be a good series.
Now, Steve, Jacko's Judgment Award is this prestigious award, this football, that we'd like to present to you on behalf of the ABC, and you can nominate a junior club, you'll sign it and present it to a junior club. You thought about one?
Yeah, mate, I have to give it to Bevel Swifts in Ipswich, where we all come from a few years ago. And just a quick thank you to all the Raiders supporters and the people at the game here today for all their good wishes, and everyone's been really great to me all week, so thanks very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Steve. Good form, and back to you, Warren.
Yeah, great performance by Steve Wallace. You better tell us that story about the dog.
Oh, well, in 87, I went to play in England. I had a dog, and I said to Box, I said, well, you look after my dog for 6 months till I get back from England. I used to ring him every month. I'd say, how the dog's going? He'd say, it's not bad, it's in the backyard. I got back, and I said, where's the dog? He said, it's in the backyard. We went out the backyard. I said, where is he? He said, there, underneath the ground, 6 foot under. Him and his brother, Kevin. I'm sure Kevin was the bloke that did it. I found an axe with blood on it in his garage after that. The old dog motorist from Ipswich.
Oh, no. All right, let's take a look at the stats, see if...
It's a mongrel dog anyway, Warren.
Did it look like Kevy?
They all do.
Time in possession, 52%. And that time in the opposition half means when you've got the ball, how much time you spend in the opposition half with it. That's 57%. Again, the Raiders, plenty of opportunities today. Completed sets, 27 versus 12 for the Magpies. Line breaks opened up in the second half. 13 line breaks for the Raiders to 3. And kicks, well, that wasn't really the deciding stat.
Well, penalties, plenty of penalties to the Raiders, plenty of scrums for the Maggies. There's the errors, double errors by the Magpies. That's the telling factor. 160, 191 tackles, and plenty more yards, metres gained for the Raiders. Score 50 points to 18. And a man who would be a little disappointed, certainly with the result today, not so much with his players' efforts, Tommy Rd18, and he's downstairs now with Johnny Peard.
Yeah, I've got Tommy with me. You are disappointed, Tom, but it wasn't the best of starts, was it? Were they on their game?
No, well, you know, I am disappointed because I thought we had a chance down here. I suppose I think that way every Sunday, but, you know, we had a very, very good preparation for the game and everything was great. And but, you know, we started off bad. There was one, a bad pass made, which they scored in the following set of 6. And there was another one made. So we started off badly and then we lost that player with the head high. And then we just didn't hold the football. And if you give these blokes a football here, well, they will give you a towel. And, you know, and that's what happened. But, you know, we've got a lot of work to be done, but we're still a hope. And so we'll get there some way or other.
Well, the beauty about footy, I guess, is you can forget about that one and leave that one on the bar somewhere and prepare for next week.
Yeah, well, that is the good thing about it. But I've just told my boys to keep their heads up. That's not the end of the world because I think we just have to win another 2 out of 4. Like we play the top sides again and we still can beat them. But we just did everything, the basics, badly today. And that's been our good, when we go well, that's our good points. And today we fell down on them, but, you know.
Well, you just got to be on the job and all those basic fundamentals against a good side, haven't you? And that's pressure on your own players.
You know, probably where it's more disappointing for me too is that you take a lot of players out, good players out, and we still got a hiding. But that's rugby league, and we'll fight back.
Of course you will, Tom, and thanks for talking with us. We'll see you in the next few weeks, eh? Thanks a lot. Back to you, Warren.
Yeah, I'm sure he's hurting inside, Tommy Rd18, but West, when they play Brisbane next week, should be a stronger side. Glenn Grief should be right. Jim Sedaris, if he can get over that injury, could be back on the field, and Paul Smith, who's a very good winger. So they should be a stronger side, but they are going to need to be a better side as well. Let's go down now to Canberra coach Tim Sheens.
Well, Tim, how'd you see that one today?
Well, you know, we were a bit sloppy at times, and so were they, but the conditions, it rained last night, and the conditions were pretty heavy underfoot, and I think that had a little bit to do with it today. But I was still reasonably happy with the commitment. The defence was good, although, you know, we came up what seemed to be a couple of 2 or 3 easy tries, but most of the day up and down the park were pretty strong. We forced a few errors, and we read their game reasonably well.
Well, I thought your defence has improved, even since last time I saw you play.
Yeah, well, I think we are. It's probably one of our best years defensively, and we've changed our style a bit, but the guys are committing more to it. We really had to get, you know, West have really been turning the ball out the back a lot, getting a lot of second phase play going, and we were determined today to make sure that we stopped any you know, of their offloads. They got away with a few, but most of the day we really put them under pressure.
Look, your 2 young front rowers laid a pretty fair platform for you.
Yeah, they're a good pair, aren't they? With Lomax and Hetherington and Pongia coming back, it's going to be an interesting couple of decisions for me. But, you know, you never seem to get everyone fit at the same time, so we'll wait and see. But, you know, it's good experience for the 2 young fellas while the 2 senior guys are out.
Well, talking about decisions, you've made one yourself.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, when you see me rugged up like this, it's not a real hard decision. But although it will be, you know, we're a big family here. It's going to be very, very hard to leave them. But you know, a lot of football to be played yet, John.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to seeing the Raiders in the finals at the end of the season. Thanks a lot, Tim, talking with us.
Thanks, Jack.
Back to you, Warren.
Yeah, Tim Sheens, such a good coach. Jacko, you spent time down here under Tim Sheens. What is it about him that seems to mould such good combinations year in, year out?
Well, I think the most important thing about any coach, Warren, first of all, is he's got the respect of the players. And, you know, I mean, you can have all the best ideas in the world. If the players don't respect you, you're a Gary Giner. But I think Tim Sheens hasn't been scared to try innovative things. He's gone to the States on a couple of occasions. And, you know, the skills they do, you know, they've got the kicking machine, they've got the gauntlet of death, all those sort of things Tim Sheens really introduced to rugby league. But, you know, I go back to the fact that he's had some great players here. He's had a great captain for a number of years in Melbourne. He's got a great captain now in Ricky Stewart. But the big thing is the players like him, they respect him, and, you know, that's half the battle, I reckon.
Well, Sean Garlick is our lounge room lizard expert this afternoon. And, Sean, pretty awesome, weren't they, again?
They certainly were, the Raiders, especially after hard time. Was probably West's worst nightmare to go out. Probably not a bad score against them considering 14-6, but to have the wind in their face and 12 men, and then Canberra score shortly after half time was always going to be tough from then on in.
Well, let's take a look at some of those second half tries. And I mentioned earlier, I mean, you guys got within a point of the Raiders recently, but I don't know whether you would have today.
No, it's certainly a different proposition down there on Bruce Stadium, but Steve Stone, I thought he had a tremendous game, filling in when he does. He always seems to do the job for them. And this sort of broke West back, I think, straight after half-time, and their heads were down after this, and they were able to put on a couple of tries, the Raiders, and they never really got back in the game.
Yeah, Steve Walters played so strongly, and Noah Nandruka, I think, finishes this one off. But you just mentioned Steve Stone. Did you play with him at Souths?
Yeah, I played with Steve in President's Cup, and we won the comp back in '89, and then he left to come to Canberra, and he won the following year in President's Cup with the Canberra side. So his success has sort of followed him around. Despite having to play behind a star-studded team, he's still hung in there and still produces the goods.
Yeah, well, let's keep looking at these tries because there were plenty of them. Mullins scoring the next one. But just getting back to Steve Stone, I mentioned in '93 he filled in for Ricky Stewart, and I mean, well, I'm not saying it was his fault, but they weren't able to go on with it. Do you think that if the same thing happened now, would it be different?
Well, I think to Steve's defence, he probably didn't have a lot of experience at half-back back then. He was more so a lock 5'8", even back rower at South. And, you know, it was big shoes to fill, and he's obviously a lot more experienced now, and, you know, he's able to make those adjustments a lot easier, having played a lot more first grade since then, I suppose.
Yeah, here's David Ferner. He's a sensational second rower. Sean, that was a good inside ball from Laurie Daly.
Yeah, once Dave Ferner puts on one of his steps on that sort of surface, unless you've got him aimed up, it's very hard to make a last-minute change of direction on that field, and your Buckleys, unless you're standing right in front of him.
Yeah, to West's credit, I thought they came back. They didn't throw the towel in completely. They kept trying to use the ball, and Ken McGuinness came up with a good try. Take us through this one, Sean. You there, mate?
Yeah, mate. I forgot about the try. Yeah, this was they hung in there, West, and they could have thrown the towel in, as you said, Jacko, much earlier. Paul Lomax saw that they had the numbers out wide, and he just lofted it over there, and they picked the ball up and just jumped over from there, I suppose.
I guess, I mean, you're in a similar position to West in that you're battling for that final 8. West's in front of the Roosters at the moment, but do you think that the Magpies can go on when they've got this tough run?
Well, they've got the run that we've just come through, and it's certainly hard physically and mentally to prepare each week, knowing you're playing the best sides. But you know, they're probably in a bit better situation as they've got a few more runs on the board. But I can't say that I was too disappointed to see Canberra get the points today, considering West are going to be a team that we're going to have to squeeze out.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let's talking about Steve Walters. He won the man of the match today. You're a hooker yourself. You know, what's your opinion of Steve Walters?
I think Steve Walters is probably unique in that he's one of the biggest, strongest type forwards, hooker forwards going around. Apart from, I suppose, Jimmy Sedaris is in the same sort of mould, but mate, he's a very difficult man to take. He's got surprising speed, and he's got a little bit of a jink that just makes him even more hard to tackle. And you know, he showed a good fend he had earlier later in the game when he got it one off the ruck, and he's got all the skills.
Yeah, well, that one's coming up now. Let's have a look at the last 2 tries. First of all, obviously, Ken McGuinness picking up his second try. This is a play that Paul Langmack did in the first half, and they came up with a try, got it again. Yeah,
they run that well. It's very hard to defend against, as was mentioned in the commentary. That they come sort of from behind the player with the ball, and they must practice it well because they've run it very well twice.
And finally, another one to Croker. I mean, he's just a tremendous player, Jason Croker. If he was playing the one position all the time, he'd be challenging for an origin spot in that position, but yet he can fill 3 or 4 positions.
Yeah, I don't know what his best spot is. We've seen him play in the centres, in the back row at 5'8", and he seems to do the job on each occasion. So, geez, that versatility is probably something that just cost him his kangaroo berth last year, I suppose.
All right, Sean, look, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. Thanks for your expert commentary and interpretation of what was happening out there.
I don't know about expert, but it was my pleasure. Thanks very much.
Great, thanks for joining us. Sean Garlick, the East captain there. Now let's take a look at the competition ladder. Getting towards the end of the season. I mean, there's a few games to come tomorrow, but this is the 5th last round. We've got Manly and Canberra on 32 points. Canberra joining Manly. Newcastle on 28, Cronulla on 24, equal with Brisbane. Of course, Cronulla winning last night, so Brisbane can go ahead again tomorrow. But Brisbane know that there's pressure on them. Then a 4-point gap to Auckland with Wests and the Bulldogs. And then just behind them on 18 points are the Western Reds, having played last night. But there's a bunch on 16, so you could really say the Reds have just moved off 16. Alongside them were Norths, St George, Penrith and the Roosters. And then probably a little too far back now, well, definitely too far back, Illawarra Tigers, Crushers, who played last night, Gold Coast, South, Parramatta and the Cowboys. But a lot of interest there in the top 8. The 8th spot, and likewise that top 4. Brisbane feeling a bit of heat.
Yeah, a couple of big games coming up. I think the West Norths game coming up will be a very, very important clash for both sides, and the St George Auckland game also a very important one. I think with the results, whoever wins those 2 games will be a step closer to getting into the top 8. But of course, there could be a number of teams finishing on the same points, and then it's for and against this year. There's no playoffs for 8th spot, which would be a cruel way to bow out. But can I just say, Auckland and the Western Reds in their first season of the competition, whether they make it or not, they've done a great job.
Oh, sure. And if you miss out on for and against, well, I mean, there's 8 spots there. You should have been good enough to get there. But let's take a look at the rest of the round. And tonight, it's the Bulldogs versus Souths. The Bulldogs should be too good there. Auckland have to go to Townsville. Their away form isn't that crash hot, but I'll tip them to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, also, I think tomorrow, have we got tomorrow's games? Yeah, Brisbane v Penrith. I think the Bronx will be too tough for that. Freddie Fittler, an extreme doubt for Penrith. St George versus the Gold Coast. Well, the Saints in that one at Cogra.
And that's an absolutely crucial match for Penrith. Also tomorrow, Norths should beat the Tigers. Norths have, well, I mean, it's so important for them. They've got the Staggers a little the Bears. Illawarra versus Newcastle. That should be very interesting down at Steelers Stadium after Illawarra beat the Roosters. Newcastle to win, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think if there's an upset on the weekend, that could be the one down at Steelers Stadium.
And the Roosters should take care of Parramatta at Parramatta Stadium. And